Hello, Fear Hippie here is here, and today we are gonna see what appears in my matches. Um, Lately I've been playing not only a lot of Battlefield, but a lot of COD as well. I've been just experiencing the different comparisons of the different games because I really haven't played too much Battlefield. I really haven't played too much COD. I played both games a little bit when I was a teenager. I actually played more Call of Duty when I was a teenager than anything else, particularly Black Ops 2. Um, I did play Battlefield 4 a little bit. I think maybe my late teenage years, and I only played maybe about 20 to 50 hours of it, if that. But I just did want to get into some of the comparisons in between, like or Black Ops 7 and what it does correctly versus Battlefield 6 and what it does correctly. So the main things I have really been liking Battlefield 6 would be the hit indicator sound. The hit indicator sound in Battlefield to me is far superior than Call of Duty. I really like that. It has a nice ring to it. You immediately know when you hit somebody. You can tell from a distance, and it's just incredibly satisfying to shoot. And I really, really like it. I have a 10 out of 10 on the sound. Overall, on the weapon variety on uh, Battlefield 6. Yeah, Battlefield 6. I would say the weapon variety is 7 out of 10. I think Battlefield 6 does the weapon variety better than Call of Duty right now. Call of Duty really doesn't have too many interesting gadgets to me. Um, and I didn't really find anything on it I couldn't do in like another game, I felt like. Um, Which is actually kind of leads me to one of the things I did really, really like about Battlefield 6. One of my playstyles I've been doing is I have been enjoying using decoys. I've loved them. I will put them in the middle hallways. They can soak up damage, and they can also end up revealing people through walls. Call of Duty has something similar. However, if somebody shoots it, I don't think it reveals locations through walls, and it doesn't soak up any damage at all. So you can't even use it for shield cover, like almost like a hostage situation where you're shooting behind your decoy or dummy, and it haven't helped block damage for you as long and marking the enemy player. Oh, that's actually a pretty decent play for a little bit there. I was playing this game, or game a few nights back. I wasn't really taking it serious. I had to do my a challenge on it. Um, One thing I will also say is like the fact that Battlefield focuses on vehicles a little bit as well, because I feel like it's good to have multiple different play styles you can do. Um, I'm very, very happy with the multiple playstyles in Battlefield for the most part, although I will say the vehicles need some balancing adjustments to feel more viable. Because right now, they do not feel good to play in at all, really, unless you are like a really good helicopter pilot or you have an engineer with you. I feel like there should be. The heavy vehicles are okay, but I feel like the lighter vehicles could definitely use some work. Especially like four-wheelers. Four-wheelers in Battlefield 6 are terrible. They're not fast. They don't really go over terrain well, and you're a sitting duck. I feel like they should be up the speed on those things, so at least you can go into the enemy bat lines and mess them up. I would say that would be 6 out of 10 on vehicles. As far as the key bindings on Battlefield 6, I feel like Battlefield 6 is easier to make all the keybinds work. One one thing I've noticed about playing COD versus Battlefield 6 is it took me maybe 5-10 minutes to set my keybinds in Battlefield 6 and have them feel good. It took me probably a good 20-30 minutes to try and set my keybinds in COD because you had just so many additional settings, especially for movement that seem really kind of pointless. Especially when they don't work. Because as of right now, if I can make it work on controller. It's definitely COD works better on controller as far as keybinds and stuff like that, or button binds. But on keyboard, I have the issue where I can be moving forward, and then if I try to go back any amount, and especially like crouching while going backwards, half the time it doesn't work. And that is a very, very sad feeling. And especially too when you can't really sprint backwards very good on mouse and keyboard. Maybe it's something to do with my keybinds, but I feel like they should have kind of patched that out or make it so the movement feels solid all around, regardless if you play on mouse and keyboard, and without having to spend like 30 minutes going to your settings and still not have a solution for it. Another thing I will also say that because keybinds, I would say they're like 6 out of 10. Movement on Black Battlefield, I would say 7 out of 10 because I don't really have that issue with any of my Battlefield matches. My Battlefield matches, if I want to go backwards, I can still go at a steady speed. I can still go prone if I want to. It's not ridiculous. It's not like a slip and slide, but to me it feels a lot smoother and a lot more reliable every single time I've used it. And I haven't really had that issue on a controller or mouse and keyboard on Battlefield. The other thing, so I would say teamwork. Teamwork, I feel like actually serves a purpose in Battlefield, and I enjoy that. I would say that much better to play as a team on Battlefield. Because you actually kind of have a role, you have different things you can do. One person can provide information, one people can handle the vehicles, one person can work on heals, and the other person can work on damage. You can't really heal in COD, and you can't really spot very well in COD either, and that's really disappointing. I feared there would be a little bit more diversity, and like they completely forego the vehicles, so you really don't have too many playstyles you can play as. It's all damage all the time, and I don't really care for that. Like I like being able to still be on the top of the leaderboard while playing more of a supporter role and providing information, providing callouts on enemy movements, providing heals and stuff like that. I feel like it comes in handy. I think they do have the Guardian perk in COD, but I haven't made it that level yet, and I don't think it really actually revives people, but I may be wrong on that. I just find it dumb you have to have perk just to revive somebody. So I would say Battlefield is 6 out of 10 on teamwork, and Battlefield is also 7 out of 10 on TTKs. The TTKs in COD, I do not like. I do not like them for a lot of reasons. I feel like they are way too quick. With just about every single weapon you can possibly use, I feel like there should be some type of leeway for if you get shot with a bullet, you should have a little bit of leeway. And yeah, I'm not a fan of the TTKs. I like actually having a tank. I want to be able to play more so as a tank. be able to soak up damage just a little bit more. You can equip Flat Jacket in COD, but it doesn't really do much, and I do not like that. I feel like there should be some type of just a way to absorb damage, but also make it obvious. Either free shields, free armor possibly. I'm not biggest fan of armor in most games, but just something to mitigate the damage a little bit more. Um, Another thing that I think Battlefield does do better than COD, I would say the text chat. I actually see people using the text chat in Battlefield, and it relays a lot of information. It pings information, which is also really nice. If you don't like using it, I would suggest just having an option to turn it off. But I feel like it's really good to have that text chat because it helps out a lot, and a lot of times it also kind of provides banter as well. My other thing I really like in Battlefield, that I would say is 8 out of 10 as well, is I would say the mines. I feel like the mines and claymores actually serve a purpose in Battlefield. I haven't really seen any claymores. I haven't really seen bouncing Betties. I haven't really seen anything to slow down the gameplay just a little bit so you can get your bearings straight. I like actually being able to place a mine down and be able to kind of watch over an area, but also even when I'm moving around, running and gunning, it's nice to be able to block off an entrance for just a little bit. It would be really cool if you also have perks that really help you identify mines and see them, and you could deal with them easier. But I really feel like there should be some type of mines, claymores, tripwires, um, blockades, all different things you can do to block off entrances and create areas you can't really go through unless you alert the enemy. I feel like that adds an interesting dynamic. Um, and you can only really stay in an area so long anyways, because a lot of times you can just toss in like a lethal or a tactical and kind of flush people out. But I think that would be really good for us to have. I already talked about decoys. I would say decoys in Battlefield are 10 out of 10. I would say the defibs in Battlefield, I would say are 9 out of 10. I like the fact there are decoys. I like the fact that they are able to actually allow you to play more of a supporter role and help people out. Um, the thing I don't like is I feel like they need a little charge time if you were to really have the best decoys. I feel like the best decoys always have a little charge time to them. Something just to make it not feel as oppressive, especially if it revives them up to full health. Another big thing that Battlefield I feel like does better than COD is 8 out of 10. I would say environmental destruction. COD really does not have any type of environmental destruction, and I don't like that. I feel like we are in 2025. We should at least have some form of environmental destruction, and even if it's like Marvel Rivals where you can damage something and then it kind of comes back later after a set time, I feel like there's a lot you can do with environmental destructions. Like, for example, one of the really cool things I believe you could do on a COD map is if you actually had like a breakable wall, but you needed a certain item to break it, but once you broke it, it gave you additional sight lines or places to move around the map. I feel like that would be incredibly fun. Um, I feel like COD really needs to include more verticality to the maps. Even though I would say COD has some of the best maps out. One thing is I wish they would include breakable walls. I wish they would include cover that would break over time. Something. Because right now, nothing really kind of slows it. Nothing really feels like it has permanence, I guess. Like you don't really have a effect on environment. You don't interact with the environment. Another thing I will say, I think the kill cam is 8 out of 10 on Battlefield. I really enjoy it. One thing I do enjoy about it is when you are respawning, you can turn off the kill cam and you can just go into the map view, and sometimes you can even get like a view of the area right before you spawn in, and that helps you identify if it's a safe area to spawn in, especially on like recon beacons. You can see the camera and see where you want to be. I really like that option. I feel like COD needs something like that. And overall, COD needs better respawns. The respawns in COD, I felt very ripped off. Because most respawns, you always spawn on the outside of the map, but I'm not sure what is in Black Ops 7, but it will spawn you directly in the middle of the map sometimes, and it does not feel good because you immediately get pinched by enemies from all different directions. You can't even think before you have a bullet in your head. So I don't like that, but I feel like the respawns in Battlefield are better just because you do get that camera that allows you to see where you're spawning, and you can also turn off the kill cam. I think probably the best kill cam slash spawn camera I've seen, it would still have to be in the finals, because in the finals you can, while you in between death and your gameplay, you can actually go in and you can float around the map as a sentient camera, and you get a good idea where maybe a good place to head to as soon as you spawn in, and it feels really nice. You also, because the maps are bigger, you don't really feel like you immediately die whenever you spawn in, which is really nice. Um, Overall, audio, I would say Battlefield 6, I would say it's 8 out of 10. It's a very good audio. I like the sound effects. I think it is a very high impact, very intense game. The only really games I would consider have a better audio than Battlefield that I regularly play, I would probably say Warframe and Hunt Showdown. And Hunt Showdown literally was like an audio company that got turned into a game company or something like that. They specialize in audio. Um, so I would say those are probably the best things. Okay, next thing, the shooting range. I would say the shooting range in Battlefield is better than the shooting range in COD. It would be a 6 out of 10. However, I like the shooting range in Battlefield because you're able to quickly go into it. You're able to check out your weapons just straight from a menu. It doesn't take much time. You're able to do a bunch of really cool things to your gadget in no time at all. The only thing I dislike about it is you don't really have moving targets. You don't really have multiple ranges. Um, and I will say it's better than COD because COD you can not uh they have guns on the wall, but you go over to interact with them and you can't interact with them, which I really dislike, because if something's in front of me I should be able to interact with it. Um but I like that Battlefield you're able to just quickly swap in and out. I think the best shooting ranges I've seen would have to probably be Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown's shooting range, it could just about be its own separate mode because you're able to grab all the weapons, go in there with friends, practice things. It is a really good shooting range. Only thing that doesn't have is like moving targets, but it's a really good shooting range. I would say maybe Overwatch and Rivals are just a step above because you have moving targets, you can swiftly swap characters, but you can also select enemy characters so you can work on your TTKs up against individual characters. And yeah, I think that's about it. I know this is kind of long video and I was kind of all over the place, but I kind of just want to make a video where I could just really talk about things and I get my thoughts out there. I really haven't made a video in a while. I've been busy with Christmas stuff. I've just been enjoying life for the most part, keeping busy. But I just want to talk about Battlefield and COD because I like both of them. I will probably make a video for what COD does better than Battlefield here pretty soon as well. But that may take a week or two. We'll see. Depends on how this video goes. And I will see you around. I hope everybody has a great, wonderful day. Bye bye.